So, so, but let me ask you again, Geoffrey. You're a leader on a Zoom call, and it's the way we do Bible studies today. Period. It's our best choice. What else do you do to train that leader?
Well, first of all, you find out where they are in their understanding of technology and specifically video conferencing. You know,
Good.
they may be already familiar with it, know more about it than you know. In that case, learn from them.
Exactly.
But if they don't, um, be sure you schedule a Zoom meeting with them personally
Good.
so that you can uh, train them how to start a meeting, how to end a meeting, and how to lead a meeting.
Okay. And then what would you do, for example, if they're fairly new to technology or they have a understanding of technology, but they're relatively new to Zoom? How could you help them?
Okay, you could as you could see a couple of key ways. One is make yourself available as a coach to them if they have questions to be able to ask you. And the second thing is give them the next best resource, which is YouTube and the tutorials on
Right.
how to use Zoom. Um, I mean, you can learn pretty much, you can get more training than you want
Right.
there.
Well, what I've seen from people is right now there are little less than 50 videos that are tutorials about Zoom on the Zoom channel, and they're all very short, 2 minutes to 6 minutes. And I've just found that even those people that will peruse through the first 4 or 5 or 10 occasionally,
Hmm.
they look like experts. And
They,
those that don't look like they're new for a long time.
well, if they take that initiative, they are experts in relation to everybody.
I know, but that's how little effort it takes
That's
to
true.
become an expert.
You know, I used to get interested. You would tell me when you were teaching me at the beginning, you're an expert, Geoffrey. And I didn't get that at that point. I didn't feel like an expert.
Right.
You know, I mean, I knew, you know, how to get started. I didn't even know how to end. I remember one time pushing the wrong button trying to end the, but
I
you were calling me an expert. But, you know, most people don't even know how to start.
Well, in relation to the general your particular population, yes, you are. But then if we want to use this tool and we want people to feel welcome, one thing that I think you really need to know is just be comfortable with the tool to manage, comfortable enough to manage a meeting. That's all. Don't need to be the expert. You probably will be the expert in the room, and the amount of time and effort involved is so minimal. That's what surprises me when people are running a meeting and they don't know a lot about Zoom. What I just described to you could take them 5 or 6 minutes a day if they're consistently using Zoom, and they
Sure,
should get better at it every time. The effort
sure.
involved is so minimal compared to, getting a bachelor's in technology.
That's right.
Okay.
And my encouragement too is don't be so prideful about what you know or don't know.
Right.
You're in the meeting because I was in a meeting with you yesterday and another friend that
Right.
I introduced you to. I started the meeting,
Right.
but we got to a point where uh, the meeting ended and I was fumbling around. Actually, we ran out of time
Right.
and the meeting cut off in the middle of a sentence. And
Right.
so I'm sitting there and I'm fumbling around thinking, can I reconnect with these guys really quickly? And I thought,
Right.
well, I'll just send them another invitation. So while I'm fumbling around trying to do the invitation, the guest that I invited was so far along, he already had the three of us connected. And he
Well,
sent me a text and said, just, get back together with us.
well,
So don't
I
ever
sent him
assume
an
that,
email.
oh, did you say, well,
I sent him
the,
an
my,
email immediately. I said, "Hey, D, get
okay.
us reconnected."
Okay. So
And
my point is, don't ever assume that the people there isn't somebody in the group, your group, that knows more than you do. Don't be
well,
prideful. If there's somebody else that can help you take the next step quicker, be open to that.
oh, sure. And in fact, you may want to lead the meeting, but someone else does the technology well. Let them be in charge with the technology and send the invitations while you
Absolutely.
host the meeting. I mean, for example, what happened there is, for me, it was a really good learning experience. You're using Zoom, free version, 40-minute limit. In the past, Zoom would send you multiple warnings saying your meeting is going to end in 10 minutes, and that was what they did to encourage you to upgrade. And in the past, they would let you go 20 or 30 times without the upgrade. So anyway, Zoom has changed in the meantime, and I told you not to worry. We will not be disconnected. So on my part, I can look at that as a giant fail or just a learning experience. Now we know, guess what? We know that at the end of 40 minutes, mid-sentence, you're disconnected. So
That's
you need
right.
to have a timer on your phone at about 35 minutes. But it's
Yeah.
just a learning experience all the way around rather than looking at it and pointing fingers and saying that we like to do that sometimes. Point
Sure.
fingers.
And this is what I learned.
Yes,
I mentioned 10 minutes before, because I got that notice. I
right.
mentioned to the two of you
You
10
did.
minutes before, just as a warning, in 10
Right.
minutes, there's a possibility this thing's going to cut off. What I didn't do that I should have done is to uh, decide how we were going to handle it.
Yes. Well, in a
I
simple
could have I
thing.
could have said, if we get cut off, um, I'll re-engage with you. I'll send you another invitation, or I could have asked one of you to help us get reconnected, or I could have had a plan.
Right. Or a simple thing is knowing that I have an upgraded version, you could have said, Alvin, will you send the invitation?
Sure.
Simple solutions, but the point is no one was pointing fingers at each other as though it was someone's fault. You just embrace technology. You
Good.
stumble and fumble along the way, and you will, because
Sure.
this tool, as soon as I think I know it, it will change tomorrow morning.
That's
And
true.
you know that's going to
That's so
happen.
true.
And
Uh,
but in the meantime, if you backward engineer it and you think it through, okay, 40 minutes, here's my phone, I'll set the timer, and I'll just tell everybody when we have 5 minutes to go, I'm going to give everybody a 5 minute warning, just like a 2 minute warning in football. And because then we're going to wrap it up.
sure. Sure.
And because all three parties could be on that call with the free version, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's right. That's right.
Uh,
Well, the positive I see in technology now, and that is that it keeps us humble, and
oh, every day.
humble is a good thing.
Every day it does. Um, but the I look at Zoom and I look at small group meetings, business meetings, and so on, but especially Bible studies as being a really effective tool. I think it creates more authenticity, more transparency, more ease of connectivity than any other tool I've seen. I say, well, I'll make from my experience. This is not scientific research, but the connection with Zoom meetings in a group versus Bible studies sitting at the conference table, the connection is better. It's deeper. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's much easier because I know everybody's name. I see everybody's facial reaction. I seldom see people in the group leave because they received a text. Most people get in a Zoom meeting and they stay engaged. Um,
Boy, that's so true. I had this same conversation with one of the guys I coached yesterday, and
right,
he happens to be a guy who really has disengaged from technology. His
right,
family they don't even have a TV.
right. You told me.
Okay. And so I'm talking to him about this, the positives of technology and the challenging place the church is right now. It's literally being forced to learn how to use technology. It doesn't have a choice because nobody can come to church.
Right,
And even last week, I think it's between 20 and 25% of the people are returning to church because they just don't feel safe.
right,
Now, now a pastor uh, has either got to just give up and let his church die, or he's got to embrace technology.
right.
And and what he's going to discover is that it creates other possibilities that
Oh,
he has never dreamed of.
um, yeah. It's really sad and disheartening to realize uh, why people haven't embraced the better connectivity. Um, I don't understand it. I really don't. And if they're in a position where they're afraid of it or they're embarrassed to use it, just let somebody help you. I mean that's it's a pride issue. I don't see it as
Mm,
anything else. It's not an expense issue because much of what's available is free or it costs a whole lot less than their monthly utility bill.
yeah,
Trust
yes.
me, if you and for example, I shared with you an event where I was able to attend. I could afford to attend because it was on Zoom. Um, Usually it was limited to 1,000 participants. This time we had 2,200 participants and we involved 70 countries. Most of those people could not have attended due to the expense. I couldn't either. And I'm attending an event again starting today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I think it's upwards of 20,000 people.
Wow.
It may not be as interactive due to the size, but they have employed, I'll give you feedback about it, but they've employed an event manager. It's affordable. This is an event that I missed last year because I could not afford the travel expenses in time and money, but I
Okay.
can afford it now. And it's on my planner. It's all budgeted out time wise. And I know that it'll be interactive and I know it'll be high end technology, but it's available to, I mean, 20,000 people are enrolled. I think I have that number right.
That's
And in the
correct.
past, it would have 2,000 people.
Oh, wow.
And,
Incredible.
and if you don't embrace that and you have a cause and a mission and a passion, you're missing the biggest opportunity we've ever seen. I mean, I expressed this to D Green yesterday, and I've expressed it to you. I believe it dearly that God created this pandemic for the church to break a system that is not working anymore. You look at the numbers, the church system as it is not nearly as effective as it used to be. And we gather around electronic devices. And this is the time where men and women of faith should become very loud, out loud. And it's a great opportunity.
Well, biblically, there's real precedence for this because God has used plagues to accomplish his purposes
Oh, sure.
in the past. I'm not sure that he necessarily created them, but he uses them definitely for his purposes. And I agree with you that he has taken a pandemic and he says in scripture, he says, I've got to bring the spiritual part of this in.
Sure. You go right
Okay.
ahead, please.
He says in the scripture, I will build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it.
Exactly.
The church is his idea, and he's not deep. He uses his people and circumstances to accomplish his purposes.
Well, and
And he's the one. He's the one that's building the church right now. You're right. He's the one. He's put us in a position where we have to embrace technology so he can get his job done quicker.
well, and I will not debate whether this God created this pandemic or not, because I don't think that's even relevant. It's here. It,
That's right.
it's here. So why
That's
would
right.
we even spend any time to debate it? But I'm going to reference what's called the Stockdale paradox. Uh, James Bond Stockdale, an 8-year prisoner of war in Vietnam in the Hanoi Hilton, and who was the highest ranking military official at the time. So he was subject to more torture than anyone else. I mean, he was consistently tortured to the point of death and then revived, intentionally. So I have no
Mm-hmm.
idea. I cannot relate to any small piece of that event. I cannot relate to it at all.
Uh-huh.
But he was interviewed by Jim Collins, wrote
Mm-hmm.
Good to Great, and anyway, a well-known author. And what they call the Stockdale paradox is, number one, he never lost faith. He never lost faith or hope. He never
Mm-hmm.
said we're going to get out by Easter or Christmas or anything. That was optimistic. Those gentlemen died because
Okay.
they had unrealistic expectations. But number one, he never lost faith. And number two, what he did with his men who did survive is said, let's face the cruel and brutal reality of our current situation.
Okay. Yeah.
So if we were to face the cruel reality of our current situation, that as a church, we may not enter that building again as we did in the past. May never, ever, Geoffrey.
Mm-hmm.
If we would embrace that reality, then we can move forward.
That's right.
And I'm preaching it.
And that's like what we were talking about earlier is what does this present brutal reality make possible?
Well,
And
let me reference one other thing, and that is for about 120 days or more, my 93-year-old mother and I have been doing a daily Bible study. And right now, it's almost always under 2 minutes. It's a minute 48, a minute 49, and so on consistently. I am seeing, and I will not name names, but I'm seeing people watch live, make comments, and connecting that otherwise never, ever, Geoffrey, never in my life have they mentioned spiritual things to me. Never,
okay,
ever.
okay,
And we just did that because, well, because God knocked me on the head and said, do it. That's good enough reason to do anything.
yeah,
And then he said, just be a voice of hope in a time of panic and hopelessness. And
yeah.
so it's really crude. It's not fancy. It's not anything spectacular, but people are connecting with that simple thing every day that have never ever had a spiritual conversation with me ever,
Yeah,
nor have I approached them ever.
yeah, and I imagine part of the big reason why they are connecting with you is you are authentic, and that's what people are looking for right now in the middle of this crisis. They're looking for authenticity.
Oh, they are looking for men and women of faith who will make a stand, be out, make a stand out loud. I mean, really loud, out of their comfort zones, and they're looking for that. Because I tried to express to my mother, I think, why is this working? And I said, I just think people want to look at two people and have a sense of hope in a time when there's very little or almost no positive news. But this little silly Facebook Live every day under 2 minutes long gives me a little bit of hope.
That's right.
we're
That's
not
right.
techno rock stars. We're not high production.
You know, one thing I love about that is the blessing that your mom shares with people at the end of it.
Oh yes.
But do you think about this for a moment? There, most people uh, don't have that experience. They don't have they have never had the experience of somebody personally blessing them.
Oh, people come for that and stay for that every day. And Geoffrey, if you really want to look at the technology and production level of that, I wrote it on a note card, large print for her, as I should. And most times, I don't think she's ever really said the same thing twice. I know that every time, almost every day, she'll miss a word or a phrase, and it doesn't matter. The production
No,
level doesn't matter. People,
no,
they simply want two people crazy enough to be outspoken and come on live every single day at approximately, in the afternoon, and be a voice of reason and voice of hope.
that's
I'm no
exactly.
Bible scholar, and
That's right.
I don't read from a normal Bible. I read from a 12-step Bible, a recovery Bible, because it speaks to me, and King James doesn't. So
Sure.
and God is He's gracious enough that He's probably just happy to see me reading from a Bible once a day.
Oh, that's great. Well, there that we're blessed in this day and age to be able to have a lot of different kinds
Oh yeah.
of Bibles that touch and reach other people, um, and so you know
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, that recovery Bible has saved my rear end in many more ways than one. Ways in which I will never tell you, Geoffrey. But hey,
I
hey,
believe. I believe.
hey, Geoffrey, can I take a break here?
Yes.
Oh, okay.